All right, so officially welcome to the slightly earlier session than normal, everyone. Thanks for accommodating. It's got something on this afternoon, so thanks for that sharing. Always good. So I'm just going to share my screen. We're going to go into the quote for today. There's a bit of teaching on the emails also shared on the Telegram group, and that'll lead us nicely into reading and practicing our lesson and ideas to do the ninth pathway as well. We've got an hour and a half, so hopefully we'll be able to cover all of that. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can everyone see that? There we go. So who would like to read the quotes for us from Daniel Goleman?
Yeah, there is perhaps no psychological skill more fundamental than resisting impulse. It is the root of all emotional self-control, since all emotions by their very nature lead to one or another impulse to act. Daniel Goleman.
Yeah. So he's an American psychologist, author, is actually a science journalist who popularized the term emotional intelligence. He wrote a book about emotional intelligence in the 90s, which was a bestseller. So he's like the emotional intelligence guru, which is just another, it's another term really for higher awareness, emotional intelligence. That you're intelligent about, the way you deal with your emotions. And it beautifully supports the message in the 12 pathways to higher awareness we've been studying. Also the Vipassana body scan meditation practice of observing your body sensations equanimously. When you meditate regularly, you're doing the other mind training exercises that I recommend you do in this course. And do what you can. There's a lot you could spend 8 hours a day on this if you wanted to, but you choose. There's a menu I give you every day. It's like, okay, you choose. Which ones you're going to do. I would say try and do the meditation in the morning. The theta meditation, either the hour, one of the shorter ones. There's a 30-minute and a 40-minute one. That's kind of that's a foundational practice. Try and get on a live call every day. That's a foundational practice. And practice the lesson a couple more times during the day. And I've given you breath breaks to allow you to do that. So, that could be just a core program. And then if you can do more and you can listen to some of the videos and you can also do some of the recordings, then, great. Or you can do another live session and great. But try and get a sort of a foundational thing going, foundational practice for yourself. And if you can't always do it, then part of the lesson is to forgive yourself for not being able to do it all perfectly. Because you won't do it all perfectly. But it's not about perfect in form. It's perfect for you. Every one of you is creating your own course that's perfect for you right now. So you're actually your own master in the Vipassana. It's like you're your own master. With the help of the Holy Spirit, actually, is the guidance. You're consciously directing this. You're getting the direction, the guidance as to how to use all this material in the most intelligent way in your life to help you to become more emotionally intelligent, if you want to put it that way, because that's the course in emotional intelligence, as well as higher awareness. So higher awareness brings in the ability to observe your emotions. Observe the root of all emotional self-control is being able to resist impulse. So instead of just going with the impulse to do something, you have some awareness and you can pause and you can consider consciously and you can make another decision. Okay? So that's the gap between stimulus and response. is what we're trying to cultivate. And that gap between stimulus and response is broadened, expanded by these kinds of practices. Do meditation, mindfulness, gives you more of a gap, gives you more space, so that you don't just react. You have spacious awareness, and you can choose consciously your response. That's the essence of emotional intelligence. As he says, it's a fundamental skill in resisting impulse. Well, and it's stated another way, the psychological skill would be to let go. Resisting impulse would be to let go of the impulse, wouldn't it? If it doesn't serve you. He's just stated in a different way. But actually, you don't want to stay in the resistance. You want to let it go and move on. So the key psychological skill, in my view, and that's supported by the Course teaching, is letting go, or forgiveness, as Yeshua states it. That's the one thing. If you recall in the masterclass, if you did that, so there's one essential skill that you need to learn in life, and most people, it's the secret beyond the secret. It's what's hidden. There's many teachings out there, but very few of them say, look, there's only one thing you got to learn. It's there's 5 things, there's 7 things, there's only one thing, and that's you need to learn to let go of what doesn't serve you. Hence the art of letting go. So there's a recorded discussion there for you. This is from a previous incarnation of this course, which might be quite interesting. If you listen to other people's stuff, there's some sharing on there. Talked about miraculous healing. There's a lady who'd had pain in her back for 2 years, and she did some physical purging, and she was pain free for 3 nights, which normally she had to take painkillers. So we had a discussion on physical healing, which we touched on last night, and the hero's journey, which is really the healing of your mind through at-one-ment. That's what the hero's journey is in Course terms. The healing of your mind through the at-one-ment is the hero's journey, which can lead to physical healing. Remember, all healing is really primarily happening on the mind level. So there's a hour and 15 minutes or something recording there if you want, and that leads us nicely into our lesson for today. So any thoughts, comments, questions on any of this, and on the idea of emotional intelligence, how that relates to what we're doing? No. Okay, so let's have a look at the lesson then. So I'm never upset for the reason I think. So it's a great lesson. That's why I often remind myself of it. Never upset for the reason I think. So let's see what Yeshua has to say about this one. Okay, so who would like to read paragraph 1?
I will.
Okay.
I love this lesson. My favourite. Well, lots of them are my favourite, but this is a definite favourite. This idea, like the preceding one, can be used with any person, situation, or event you think is causing you pain. Apply it specifically to whatever you believe is the cause of your upset, using the description of the feeling in whatever term seems accurate to you. The upset may seem to be fear, worry, depression, anxiety, anger, hatred, jealousy, or any number of forms, all of which will be perceived as different. This is not true. However, until you learn that form does not matter, each form becomes a proper subject for the exercises of the day. Applying the same idea to each of them separately is the first step in ultimately recognizing they are all the same. I don't know, I was just texting with Sue and saying, she just now pulled me up on saying I was fine today. And because I'd said to her earlier that I felt busy,
Mm.
even though I've got a day off. And I think I might have applied the lesson to it. Like, I'm not upset, because I was like, in my mind, got the day off, I'm doing Jono's course and I'm doing this, that and the other. Why do I feel busy on a day off? I think I must have used the lesson on it, and now I feel so peaceful. There's no chattering in my head, it's just all quiet. It's lovely.
All quiet on the Western Front.
So I was like blaming my day. Yeah, that's what I was doing. So I was like saying to myself, all right, I've got to do this, and then I'm going on Jono's call, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing that. So I was blaming what seemed to be in my reality, fulfilling the feeling inside, which I translated as busy. It wasn't, was it?
Well, I'm never upset for the reason I think. Okay, so
there's no need to blame circumstances on.
Always to go to the cause, isn't it? So, okay, so I think I'm upset because of some kind of external situation, person, or event. That's the ego's default perception, isn't it? But actually, I'm never upset for the reason I think, because the reason I'm really upset is because I have a false self-concept. That's the reason I'm upset. So it's asking us, it's the beginning of this mind training, of going within our mind and reprogram, saying, no, I'm not upset for the reason I think. I'm upset because I have a layer of emotion, and then underneath that, thought and belief, which is false, and that's upsetting that's disturbing my peace. Because all of that is a covering over, a veil of illusion over my peace of mind. And so the real reason I'm upset is that I have this crazy belief system that keeps reacting to whatever I perceive with my physical senses, and interpreting it in a way that makes me upset. So this domain of perception is where the internal and the external world meet. And then my interpretation of the external sensory data from the perspective of my beliefs, thoughts, and emotions creates my perception. So now he's turning it around with this lesson, and he's saying, I'm never upset for the reason I think, makes us look within. Okay, well, emotion, there's an awareness of emotion. Upset, okay, there's an upset. And so I'm immediately aware of the layer beneath perception. And then thought and belief. Okay, so this is working with thoughts again. Why am I really upset then? And if I can let go of the perceived cause of my upset, I may be open to recognizing the true cause of my upset on the real level of thought and belief. So these are, remember, all lessons in undoing the way you see currently, the way you perceive currently, so that you can start perceiving truly.
Yeah, that's really cool, because there's just putting into action what happened this morning, that, I felt some emotion, busyness. I translated it as, I thought, I've got the day off, I should feel peaceful. The belief was that I should feel peaceful. I didn't feel peaceful, it was the belief. And then I went into peace, and then that changes the whole view.
So you changed. You went down here, you changed belief, you changed thought, you changed emotion, your perception changes, and then you're fine. It's a miracle. You did a little correction. And so that weakens that default program, which you may have been running for a long time, of I'm busy, I'm feeling busy, I've got stuff to do, and I'm feeling a little bit, my peace is a little bit disturbed because I'm busy. I mean, what is busy? It's saying I'm not content as I am. I've got stuff to do. You're thinking ahead to the future because you're not busy right now. You're never busy now, are you?
No.
Busyness is a projection into the future. Oh, I've got this to do and I've got this to do. And the other day you said, oh, you're a busy guy. So that was your projection onto me. And actually, I'm doing stuff, but I didn't think of myself as busy. I'm just, okay, I'm going from one thing to another. Now I'm doing that. And it just flows. So it's interesting then how we perceive others as well from that from that programming. And this is just being aware of it and going, okay, I see it, and I don't have to, I don't have to run that program anymore. I can, if the busyness program comes up again, you can remind yourself, I'm never upset, I'm never busy, instead of the upset, I'm never busy for the reason I think I am.
Yeah, good point.
I'm actually busy because my mind is busy, because my mind wants to distract me from the inner peace. So that's what's keeping me busy. It's not the external world and what I've got to do today. I can be
busy thoughts.
Busy thoughts. Yeah, I can be busy the whole day doing things, but my mind can be very still. I don't have to be busy in my mind. I'm just very present, which is the flow state. The best way of handling a so-called busy day is to be in flow, which is not busy. It's calm and peaceful in your thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's a reinterpretation of that whole, busyness, the business, and interesting, business and busyness. There's only one letter difference.
Yeah, no, I always think that. Yeah.
Why have we created business? Because it's busyness. We want to be busy. We've got to be busy doing stuff. I've got to produce goods and services, and we've got to keep busy. And the wheels of commerce have got to turn, because it keeps the mind busy. It gives us something to do. What would we do if we all just said, well, we don't really need all this stuff. We just need our basic needs met. So actually, we don't need to work as hard. Let's sit in meditation for much longer. This kind of work is primary, and the meeting of material needs is secondary. And that's reversing the whole thought system. But you can do that. You're in a position to do that yourself. The whole society carries on in a crazy way, but you can do that. And by and large, I think you have. But it's that program just arose.
Well, the irony is, day to day, I feel very peaceful in what I do. It's only because I've got a day off. But my belief system came up that I should be extra peaceful on a day off. And actually, I was in reverse. It's holidays that get me. I'm not very good at holidays.
Because then the program is I should be doing something. What would I be if I'm not doing? Which is the human doing, always busy, and that keeps you out of the the peace of God, which is just a deep peace in your being. Doing and doing. If doing becomes an addiction, it sabotages the peace that comes from being. So the conscious way of doing is be rooted in your peace and then do from that state of mind, and that's flow. And you don't feel busy or stressed when you're doing. You just, okay, I'm just, I'm flowing with this. There's a calmness, there's a peace, and I'm flowing with this, and the peace goes with me wherever I go. God goes with me wherever I go. That's, I think, lesson 30 or 29. We'll do it later in the course. So this peace goes with me wherever I go, no matter what. And just another little lesson for you. Isn't it interesting how the lessons, come? So and then a little realization. Okay. So that program revealed. Great. I see it. Okay. Next time you get it. You'll get it sooner. You'll be like, I see. Okay. Busyness arising. Okay. Just let it go. Because I'm not defining myself as a busy person. I'm actually a peaceful. I am peace would be the counter to that, wouldn't it? The being statement that counters busyness is I am peace, or I am calm, or I am flow. I'm flow. I flow with life. Also, and it's like, okay, but you root yourself in your being, and then you go from there, and then everything will flow. So.
What I just recognized from that is I had a belief I'm not very good at holidays, and that goes back decades when I used to have a holiday, and then all my stuff used to come up on holiday. It's like I loved my work and I was all peaceful at work, and then I'd take a holiday and all the shit would hit the fan with husband and family and mother and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of got aversive to holidays.
Yeah.
I can change that.
And holiday is holy day, isn't it? Holy day. Holiday. So it's becoming more aware. holiday, you rest the mind, you go into peace, and then if there's emotional stuff, it's going to come up. You're taking like a 6-week holiday here for the mind. Say, okay, I'm taking 6 weeks out to really refresh, reboot.
Imagine if businesses were called beingness.
Yeah.
Beingness centre.
Beingnesses,
that's what's coming up to me when I was looking at Sally. The beingness centre or the beingness. And because it's really intriguing, that would really get people to think, well, what do you mean by being? Well, what do you mean?
Yeah. It's and some of the more enlightened businesses do some of this, like the Googles and stuff of the world. They have meditation pods, and they encourage people to take some time out and restore and refresh. And then really it's about flow. Businesses that can get into flow, people working in the business are in a state of flow, they're going to be much more effective and productive. So, but the flow comes from connecting with beingness. You can't have flow if you don't do that, that connection.
Before I stopped working, I was at Carphone Warehouse, a big one here, and they wanted to do exactly that, have these beingness pods. It's just too busy for me, and people were so distracted that if you said something, you could tell straight away the phones were coming out, they were getting bored, and I thought, no, I can't, because it was like they were hoping to have a room and I could go in the room, but it was such a busy environment. And then when I went round to check like lunchtime or whatever, they did have their own, but they've actually got their little one-man tents out as well and sitting in there with the phones. And I'm like, all right, I don't understand that. But it was a Carphone Warehouse, so always on the phone. But
I mean, it's a change of mindset. I mean, businesses, it's not lip service. You actually have to do it, properly. And if you do, I think that the companies like Google and some others have imitated them. They've really seen the benefits of that. They get a lot more productivity and creativity out of their employees because of it. I think that there was an authentic desire to really do it. They were like, we really actually do want to help people. It's not just because we want to get more out of them. We actually want to help them and support them and give them it. And it's okay to take time out. It's all right if you take an hour or hour out to meditate, because we'll work later. We understand that. We give you the flexibility. There's trust. It's not like, oh, someone's watching you, you're on the clock, and judging you. It's like, no, we actually encourage you to do that because it's going to refresh you and re-energize you, and then you can go back in a better state of mind, and you can flow with it. So I think there's got to be a huge market there. If you're the happiness coach, maybe you become the flow coach or something, and go in corporates, and you can teach them how to get into and stay in flow as individuals and a collective. That's going to really help them. So you can take this stuff in different contexts, even in business. There's a way that you'd frame it. You wouldn't use Course in Miracles language. You talk about values and you talk about flow, but it's the same thing. It's just reframed in different language. Okay, so let's get to number 2. So he's just saying, Susie, if you want to read number 2.
When using the idea for today for specific perceived cause of an upset in any form, use both the name of the form in which you see the upset and the cause which you ascribe to it. For example, I'm not angry at myself. I was going to put for the reason I think
or someone else, you know,
Yeah.
whoever, whatever it is, you know.
It's
fill in the
always
blank.
aimed at myself, I'm afraid. I'm not angry at myself for the reason I think. I am not afraid of the unknown for the reason I think. But again, oh no, that's number 3. I'm going a bit yeah.
No, you can read that one as well. But any thoughts on number 2? I'm not angry at. So it's just naming it, saying, okay, I'm aware of it. There's this awareness, and then a reinterpretation. Okay, but I'm not actually angry for the reason I think. And you're stating it out loud. The reason why he's asking you to state it is because affirmation is part of the change of mind. You're changing your mind when you say that. You're starting to question the thought system, aren't you? I'm not angry at this is the beginning phases of this undoing process. You're starting to question these beliefs. I'm not angry at whatever for the reason I think. I'm not busy for the reason I think. Whatever, you know, whatever's arising for you. And then it's asking you to question that, you know, you say this statement, there's naturally a question, well, then why am I angry? So there's an opening then in the mind to go and inquire. So this is all self-inquiry, really, directing us inwards to go look and see what's really happening there. Okay, and number 3, you can read that, Susie, if you want.
But again, this should not be substituted for practice periods in which you first search your mind for sources of upset in which you believe and forms of upset which you think result.
Yeah, so it's becoming aware. You see the procedure, and this he repeats over and over. Become aware, bring it into mind, and then apply the idea to it. So there's a correction. You bring it into awareness, and then you correct by applying the idea. So an awareness, and then a letting go or correction. And that's the approach. It's really embedded in all of these exercises. Okay, and then number 4, let's ask orally to read that in these exercises. You're muted, Rory.
Yeah, I was just saying, you can also say I'm not afraid of not working, or I'm not upset for not working for the reason I think.
Yeah.
I'm not upset of not working for the reason I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. Anything is suitable. Whatever's causing you any kind of concern, any kind of upset is a disturbance to your peace. So there's not perfect peace of mind. There's something going on there that's disturbing that. You can apply.
But would it bring you to the awareness of what's causing the upset eventually, or no?
Yeah. Remember, it's a process.
Well, it's always lack of love, I guess. It's always lack of love.
Yeah. So it goes down to your core self-concept. I am, if I am not good enough. See, if I believe I'm not good enough, then my not working, reinterpreted from the not good enough belief, is a problem. That's a sign that I'm not good enough, and I'm not going to cut it. And then we fear, well, I won't be good enough, so I won't have enough. I won't be, supported financially, whatever. And then this arises, but it's arising from your core belief, really, if you're honest. So you're upset not because of the external world or what your mum's saying or society's expectations. You're upset because of your core belief that you're not good enough. Yeah. So it opens the way for this. It doesn't necessarily take you the whole way there, because remember, this is baby steps. He's just asking you to start questioning the existing thought system by doing that. Just start opening your mind a little bit to another view.
Yeah. So number 4, in these exercises, more than in the preceding ones, you may find it hard to be indiscriminate and to avoid giving greater weight to some subjects than to others. It might help to precede the exercises with the statement: there are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind.
So asking us not to make exceptions. Oh, well, that's just minor. That's trivial. I'm not going to. It's like anything that's disturbing your peace of mind is then a block to the awareness of love's presence. Anything. It's minor, major. He's trying to get us to see that it's all really the same. Whether it's a major drama you're going through, or it's a little minor intrusion of discomfort, as he called it the other day. It's all part of the same thought system, which needs to be let go of, undone. So there's really no hierarchy of illusions. They're all the same. And therefore, there's no order of difficulty in miracles, right? There's an illusion is an illusion is an illusion. Doesn't matter how big or small it is, how much it's disturbing your peace or how little. The answer is to correct it and let it go. And when he's asking us to examine our mind for whatever's distressing you, regardless how much or how little you think it is doing so. Okay? So even the slightest waver of there's a thought and it's a bit uncomfortable. Usually, if you're honest about those thoughts, they're past future thoughts, isn't it? You're thinking about the past
or the
you're thinking
future.
about the future.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, because in the now, there's nothing to be uncomfortable about. Right now, everything's fine.
Yeah.
So it's a past future thought coming
Yeah.
in. And you notice as soon as you go there, past future, it creates some discomfort, doesn't it? So then he's asking us to notice that. So, okay, well, your peace is a little bit disturbed there, maybe not significantly so, but you're becoming much more aware of these disturbances now. He's asking us to tune in and become aware, so that previously what you didn't notice was just a minor intrusion of discomfort. You start to become more and more aware of that and say, no, that's a disturbance to my peace. I don't want it. I'm willing to let it go. So examining your mind. This is self-inquiry, awareness, self-inquiry. And this will be the undoing of the ego. Well, I might have mentioned this story before. I did a retreat once, and this lady was an addict. She's a cocaine addict. And just a simple awareness exercise we did on the first night of the retreat, just sitting quietly, doing a little meditation for 20 minutes, asking him to become aware of her thoughts and emotions and bring some awareness into that. Nothing major, but that freaked her out completely. She couldn't deal with it and she ran away because the ego so strong that it realized that this kind of awareness would undo it. It was shining the light of awareness on it. She said, I can't, I understand what you're trying to do, but I can't do it because that separate self was so strong that it couldn't stand it. So she ran away. So just, the ego gets uncomfortable when you do this. But it's the hero just sits in the discomfort and goes, okay, well, this is what's necessary. So I'm not going to run away from it. Let's do the exercise. And as he says, use whatever reactions arise. If you feel uncomfortable, then use that reaction in the lesson. Apply it. Okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable now. There are no small upsets. They're all equally disturbing to my mind. I'm not upset here. I'm not angry. I'm not disturbed for the reason I think. Okay, then number 6. Who wants to read number 6? Let's ask Elaine. Can you read number 6 for us?
Yeah.
And also find yourself less willing.
You may also find yourself less willing to apply today's idea to some perceived source of upset than to others. If this occurs, think first of this: I cannot keep this form of upset and let the others go. For the purpose of these exercises, then, I will regard them all as the same.
Yeah. So he's asking us not to make exceptions, right? They're all the same. They're all in the same order of reality. No big upsets, no small upsets. It's all the same. I'm never upset for the reason I think. So he's trying to train our mind not to make exceptions, not to say, oh, well, that's a different kind of upset. It doesn't apply. So it's all the same, and I must if I want to be free of upset, I want peace, then I must treat them all the same. I cannot keep this form of upset and let the others go, because it's all upsetting. It's the same thought system that's upsetting me. Okay. And then number 7, let's ask someone else to read. iPhone, is that Jackie? Is Jackie there, or we're seeing a window? There we go.
Hi, Johnny. Can I not
right.
read, actually? Is that all right? I'll read on the session later.
Yeah, all right. That's nice.
I'm muted as well. I hope I wasn't making a noise.
Someone else? Then search your mind. Maybe coming back to Aurelie or Susie. Either one of you. Search your mind.
Okay, then search your mind for no more than a minute or so and try to identify a number of different forms of upset that are disturbing you, regardless of the relative importance you may give them. Apply the idea for today to each of them, using the name of both the source of the upset as you perceive it and of the feeling as you experience it. Further examples are, I'm not worried about the future for the reason I think. And I'm not depressed about not working for the reason I think.
And then he's just asking us
to, excuse me?
Just to say it and then leave it. That's part of you're probably starting to question the ego's perceptions of it, aren't you? You're starting to open the mind and go within and do the inner inquiry with us. So it's a process, and then he builds on it tomorrow. So just starting to question this whole thought system, perception, emotion, thought, belief, and saying, well, maybe I'm not upset for the reason I think I am. So maybe all of this is false. Very, very carefully designed mind training courses. Because you're not going to notice. It's just kind of, okay, let's just start. We just do this 3 or 4 times, a couple of minutes, baby steps, getting us into it. Okay. So any thoughts, comments, questions on the lesson? Otherwise, if not, we'll just go into a meditation on it. Take you through it in about 15 or 20 minutes, just a guided practice. So just making yourself comfortable in your favorite meditation posture, feet shoulder width apart. You're sitting on a chair, back straight. You could also sit up in bed, do cross-legged, half lotus with the soles of your feet together. Make sure your back is reasonably straight, and cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. Start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises, the chest rises, the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clenching the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Pull the energy up the spine to your heart center. Put one hand on your heart, connect with your heart space. Feel into your heart, bringing your attention fully into the present moment through the breath, focusing on the sensations around the breath. And the body, breathe in again. So feel this warm wave of energy rising up, spine into the crown of your head. You pause at the top of the inhale. Maximal inhale breath, so there's a nice open, empty space in your mind, and then just going to scan your mind. So look for any upsets, anything that's disturbing your peace in any way, and the cause that you ascribe to it. So whatever external cause sets you angry at someone else, angry at my life situation. Say I'm not angry at whoever, whatever it is, for the reason I think. Or if it's fear, I'm not afraid of whatever for the reason I think. That's all you have to do. And then just exhale, blow it all out, let it all go with the breeze of your breath to the nothingness that it really is. Imagine it's like a dark cloud leaving you. Feel the energy subsiding. Imagine it's all releasing, blowing it out of your mouth, of your energy system, from the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest here. Then scan your mind. Breathing in and out. Remind yourself there are no small upsets. They're all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. So you observe the breath and examine your mind again for whatever's distressing you, regardless of how much or how little you think it's doing so. So anything else comes up, maybe you find some resistance to looking at something. Find yourself less willing to apply today's idea to some perceived source of upset. Then say to yourself, I cannot keep this form of upset and let the others go. So regard them all as the same. Breathe out on that, let go. Now search your mind one more time. Breathing in. Okay, nice deep inhale. Raise the energy up, clench the sphincter muscle, lock and hold. Pause at the top of the inhale. So in the space, try to identify a number of different forms of upset. So whatever is upsetting you currently in your life, observe it. Look for whatever's disturbing you, even if it's the minor upset. It's about being very subtle, very aware of any kind of upset, and applying the idea indiscriminately to it. So just name it, say I'm not worried about, if it's worry about the future, I'm not worried about whatever, my lack of money, not having a job, my home situation, I'm not worried about whatever for the reason I think. I'm not depressed about whatever for the reason I think. Just name those sources of upset very clearly. And that's enough. You're just questioning the thought system, questioning the causation of the ego, then blow it out. Have a sense of letting it all go, releasing the breath. All of that upset, dark energy, imagine it's leaving your mouth, leaving your body, your energy system. It's going, gone, blow it all away to the nothingness that it really is. And just rest here in this calm, quiet, peaceful state for a few minutes. So nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Just breathe, relax, be still. Observe the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. So just do some breath watching. And as the thoughts come in, just return them to the breath. You're finding the stillness, the peace that surpasses all understanding. It was called in the Bible by Paul. Peace that surpasses all understanding in the moment. Beyond your upsets and your drama is this awareness, this peaceful awareness. It's always there, just waiting for you. It's ready to be there for you. Just sinking into it, accepting it. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about for the next couple of minutes. Breathe, relax. Be still, be peaceful, be free of upset. The next 2 minutes of deep silence. And if any upset comes in, notice anything seemingly disturbing your peace in this deep state, just apply the idea for today to it. So I'm not, whatever the emotion is, worried, fearful, anxious, angry, frustrated about whatever it is or whoever it is. For the reason I think. And then let it go. the help of your breath, just blowing it away. So nothing as it really is. It's going, gone. All the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in this deep peace and stillness for a few minutes. Just breathing in, breathing out. Stomach rise, chest rise. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Into the peace that this idea can bring you, this lesson can bring you. Another minute or so of deep silence. So just coming back gently into awareness of the body and the breath and senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Notice the stomach rise and the chest rise on the inhale. The subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Feel some energy moving up the spine. Pause at the top of the inhale. Once again, scan your mind at the top of the inhale. So just be aware of any thoughts and any emotions going on, particularly anything that feels upsetting. Scan your mind for any of that. And if there's any kind of thought that's disturbing your peace in any way, don't overlook it. Just apply today's lesson. So I'm not describe the emotion, worried, anxious, fearful, angry, frustrated, and so on, about whatever it is that seems to be the cause of the upset, person, place, situation, event, for the reason I think, and blow it out. And then it's like a dark cloud leaving you, just letting it go. It's just thought. Just a false thought turning. So blow it away with the breeze of your breath. Let it go to the nothingness that it really is. Follow the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in peace and stillness. For a few moments, and count of 2. And there's the weight of your body pressing down into the chair and your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling with your hands and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Notice all this from this very clear, calm, aware state beyond upset. Anchor this state in. This is your new default state of peace in which you can remain, you can act in the state. So that's within your flow state, base state of peace, and you're able to act in that. Actions flow from the state of mind. So it's going to happen for the rest of the day for you. So it's said, so it's done. And so on the count of 3. You're going to open your eyes, take a minute to look around, just observing whatever's going on in the room in this very clear, calm way, without interpretation, without judgment. Whatever you're seeing has no power to upset you. You just stay rooted in this peace, and you notice it doesn't matter what you perceive, it's actually just all the same. All the same thought system. So stay rooted in this for the rest of the day to set that intention. That brings us to the end of the meditation and practicing and discussing the lesson. So still got some time. If those you'd like to stay, we'll have a look at the 9th pathway now. Okay, so let's just check in with everyone. Everyone's still here. Good. Anything to share about the meditation? Okay, so yeah, any thoughts, anyone? Otherwise, we'll go into the next section, which is just having a look at the 12 pathways. We're on the 9th pathway, I believe, today. So let me bring that up, share my screen again. 9th pathway, there we go. So it's on page 26 of your updated course manual. What was that? Okay. Share screen. Okay. All right, so you all see the screen. Let's just zoom in a bit there, make it a bit bigger. So just to recap, maybe the previous pathways, we're dealing with 3rd set of pathways. So interacting with others is what this set of 3 is all about. So the previous 2. So you see where this fits into context. Who would like to read number 7 and number 8 for us?
I will. I open myself genuinely to all people by being willing to fully communicate my deepest feelings. Oh, that's funny. Since hiding in any degree keeps me stuck in my illusion of separateness from other people.
Why is it
Laughing.
funny?
Something just came up for me and I thought, oh, I must tell him how I feel. And then I read that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Funny.
Hmm.
Carry on, number 8.
Hmm.
I feel with loving empathy the problems of others without getting caught up emotionally in their predicaments. They're offering them messages they need for their growth.
Okay.
Number 9, I act freely when I'm tuned in, centered and loving, but if possible, I avoid acting when I am upset and depriving myself of the wisdom that flows from love and expanded awareness.
Yeah. So it's the interesting selection. You've got on number 7, you've got communicating freely, and on 9, there's saying, well, I don't communicate. I act freely. I communicate freely when I'm tuned in. Of course, I avoid acting when I'm upset, depriving myself of the wisdom that flows from love and expanded awareness. So it's kind of a stopper. It's very related to this emotional intelligence idea. So creating the gap, being willing to pause it and not react. Okay, so you want to read that again in the first paragraph, Sally, of this 9th pathway, please.
I act freely when I'm tuned in, centered and loving, but if possible, I avoid acting when I'm emotionally upset and depriving myself of the wisdom that flows from love and expanded awareness.
Does that resonate?
Yeah. Yeah,
Avoid-
so I've got a feeling coming up about something. And like I said, I felt like, well, the best thing is to mention it to him, not you, somebody else. And then I thought, oh, well, going by that, I'm emotionally upset, so maybe I should mention it right now.
Yeah. If you're doing it from this is really the pause button, isn't it? If I'm emotionally upset, then don't do it. Get yourself into the right state of mind first, because your perception is distorted when you're emotionally upset. So your words and your actions are going to be distorted. So you want to. This is emotional state management. Okay, I want to manage my emotional state. I want to get into the right state first before I act. Otherwise, I deprive myself of the wisdom that flows from a higher state of loving, expanded awareness. And I will say things and do things that I may regret and will have consequences.
My thought was to say to somebody how I was feeling, not as a judgmental thing or anything, just saying how I'm feeling in a way to communicate freely from an emotional and intelligent place to enable the energy to flow. So I'm more tuned in and there's more love in the relationship.
Which is the 7th pathway. 7th pathway was doing that. So this seems to be a contradiction, but he talks about that. There's kind of an interplay between them. So let's read on, shall we? When you're emotionally upset.
When you are emotionally upset, you energize the addictive patterns of other people who are caught in the lower levels of consciousness. Bad vibrations like the measles are contagious. Every time you act with anger, resentment, or fear, you reinforce the addictions from which we all wish to be liberated. You may have heard the story of the boss who yelled at his employee, who then went home and fought with his wife, who spanked her child and then kicked the cat. Yeah. The story demonstrates that negativity is like an infectious disease that seeks to spread through society from one person to the other. To avoid adding to the sum total of bad vibrations in the world, unless you are in immediate physical danger, wait until you're tuned in, centered, and loving before you act. When you give yourself this time to contemplate your perceptions and course of action, wisdom may lead you to choose a more effective course of action.
Okay. So, any thoughts on that one?
Well, it works both ways, doesn't it? You can share love or you can share something not so good.
Well, you're gonna what he's saying in the course is you're going to project or extend. The mind is going to project or extend. It naturally does that. So you're going to be doing one or the other. You project from the ego, or you extend from loving awareness. It's one or the other. That's your choice. But the mind cannot help but do that, because that's the nature of mind, is to extend. As we were extended. This is why, in the text we translate it as extension. We're the extension of source, this loving awareness, and its nature is to extend through us. We allow it. The ego's distortion of that would be, yes, I'm still going out, but I'm projecting. I'm now doing it from the separate self, and it's a distortion of the extension of love. But it's going out there. So both of them are infectious. They're designed to go out there and spread. Just depends which one you want to do. Joy, love, inspiration, that's infectious. If if you're an agent of that, you can see it. It does, profoundly influence people. But so does the negativity. It's like an infectious disease or virus spreading in society. And then he's saying, okay, so if you have this anger, resentment, fear, any negative emotion arising, then instead of just projecting it out, which is what the ego wants to do, and which confirms it, have the awareness just to pause. So no, let me wait. Let me do some clearing. I'll let this go. I'll get myself into a better state of mind, and then I'll do something about it. Then I'll speak or act. When you give yourself this time to contemplate your perceptions and course of action, wisdom may lead you to choose a more effective course of action. And that's usually the case. So, you might compose an angry email, then leave it. And then you read it again in a few hours or a day, and you might go, oh, no, I don't really want to say that. I don't really want to send it. Choose a more effective course of action. So the wisdom will guide you, but a key skill is knowing when to pause. You must pause. Having the emotional self-control, and this is what this mind training is helping you to do. Meditations, these mind training exercises Yeshua is giving us are the pause button on the ego. It's creating the pause. It's creating the space for higher awareness to come in and give you the space and time to make a different decision, to change your mind. So this is the pause. If you recall, one of the 4 sort of powers of meditation was one of them was the pause, ability to pause and then be able to consciously choose your reaction rather than just react from a default programming. So pausing, awareness, the gap between stimulus and response is where the transformation happens. That's the gap for the miracle to happen. If there's no gap, then a miracle's very unlikely. Unless if you're at a state of mastery and this is your default thought system, then there wouldn't need to be much of a gap because you just get it. But even Yeshua, there was a great example of this. He paused. He was under pressure in a particular situation. There's a story of the adulteress where they brought this adulteress to him, and the Pharisees and Sadducees were testing him. They were trying to trap him. They said, we've caught this lady in the act of adultery, and the law of Moses says she should be stoned. What do you say? It should happen to her. And they're hoping you'll say, no, she shouldn't be. And then they'll say, well, you're defying the law of Moses, so you need to be stoned. It's blasphemy. They're trying to trick him. So he gave himself time to pause. It's recorded that he went down on his haunches and he drew something in the sand. What, we don't know, but I suspect that was to give himself a little bit of time just to pause, reflect, ask for guidance, and then it came through in a beautiful one-liner. He stood up and he said, "Let he who has never sinned cast the first stone." So really, that was the masterful response that defused the whole situation, and everyone left. And so he helped the woman to survive, and possibly himself as well, through that single emotional intelligence, to pause, not be overwhelmed by it, consider his response, and then give it from this place of wisdom. So even he did this. He paused to give himself time when it's necessary. Okay, any thoughts, comments, questions on that first paragraph?
Well, my thinking was that if I shared how I felt, because the person is very self-aware, it would bring a closeness. But I think, having read that, I think I'll just sit with it and just pause and let the guidance come.
Pause, yeah. I mean, unless it's like life or death, which most situations aren't, you usually can pause. There's no absolute drama need that you have to do it straight away. So you give yourself the time to reflect, and maybe something else will come in, and you'll be grateful for that pause, because it gave your higher awareness, your Holy Spirit, remembrance of love, a chance to come in and give you a helpful message that will then become part of your communication. So see how that goes, But you can usually pause and do some correction in your mind in the pause. Do a lesson, do some letting go, do some clearing, and then see what shows up after that in your mind. Okay, so next one, the 7th and 9th pathway. Elaine, perhaps you can read that for us.
The 7th, excuse me, the 7th pathway and the 9th pathway put you in interesting predicament. The 7th pathway tells you to communicate your deepest feelings, and the 9th pathway advises you, if possible, not to communicate until you are perceptive. Sorry?
Perceptive.
Oh, yeah, perceptive. Centered and loving. What this means is that you are always ready to be completely open and to communicate with people. But if you are caught in the grip of a disturbing emotion, you give yourself a little time to let go of your addiction that's disturbing you, rather than acting out the fight-flight feeling that's been triggered immediately. And the rest?
Yeah, so let's just talk about that paragraph. So any thoughts on that one?
Well, I'm getting those challenges at the moment, yeah. So
you're always ready to be open. You're not hiding. This is the key. You're not going to hide away and say, "Oh, I don't want to communicate because I'm separating myself and I can't handle it." But you recognize, if you're caught in the grip of a disturbing emotion, you give yourself the time to let go of that addictive pattern that's disturbing you by using some of the mind training tools. A lesson would be, if it's an upset, great, you've got a lesson to deal with it. Rather than acting out the fight or flight feeling that's been triggered immediately. So let's say your husband goes, is getting upset, and he's raising his voice, and maybe there's some verbal abuse. You would, instead of reacting in a defensive way, going, "Well, how dare you say that?" and then there's an argument, you just give yourself some time. You maybe go into a quiet room. You say, "Dave, give me a few minutes. I'm just going to I'm just going to process this, or I've got something else to do, or whatever. Give yourself the time and space to practice the lesson, to bring yourself into a calmer state of awareness. You let go of that programming, so you're not gripped by those emotions. And then from that state, you then ask for guidance. Say, well, what should I say? What should I do? Do I need to say anything? Maybe you don't. Maybe you just you can ignore it and carry on and just let go of it. You need to say something, then in that state you'll be guided as to what to say. But you've set yourself into a much more capable state of acting with true awareness that's going to be effective, rather than the ego's default programming, which is highly ineffective, doesn't work.
No.
What's supported me in the past is if I've been like that, is I don't appreciate the way you're speaking to me, and I get up and leave and then come back, and it's a whole different. It's just I'm just saying it in case, but I felt that
you can walk away.
Yes.
You can always walk away. You can say, like, I can choose to leave the room.
And it's always been a bit of because I've never really had any boundaries with the way people have, you see this really in the home, but I've noticed it, but it's really good listening to what you're saying, because I can really reflect on what you're saying and how I've behaved. But yes, I've often got up and says I'd appreciate, and I've not had to do it many times, but I'll leave and then I'll come back, and either the person says something or I'll say something, and it's totally different.
Yeah. So you give it a chance to just settle down. Just like, okay, don't react, because the ego wants to react, you to react, and then the other person reacts, and then the ego's juicing it, and it's great, it all goes up, and the temperature goes up, and the conflict arises, and it loves that.
But it also allows the other person to think twice when you say, I appreciate you don't speak to me like that, or I don't appreciate XXX, because then that's all you're saying, and then out the room. By the time you come back, it's changed.
Yeah.
The only thing with that is that when you're dealing with someone who's had a drink or things like that, then it's a little different. Yeah.
More difficult, but it doesn't mean you can't apply it. You have to find a way.
And I guess that's why I answered. Sorry, Johnny. That's why I answered Elaine with what I'd said, that I really do admire your awareness in this situation, and that stillness and that silence will really serve you if, and it will do. But it's really difficult sometimes. I know.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah.
But keep sharing your stuff, because we are listening, and even if you share it and you think nobody's there,
it's a big help. Big help.
Yeah.
I much appreciate everybody's input.
So you're not alone, and there's people in your corner saying, okay, we got your back, we're trying to help you. Obviously you've got to deal with it, because it's your situation, it's your life to deal with.
It's a big help, because you've got everybody's
emotional support, and it's saying, look,
it's a
you're
big
on the right
help.
track. You keep going, and this is correct, and you can share the difficulties, and you can also share the miracles, which then helps other people to go, oh, okay, this is universal. We're dealing with the same stuff. Everyone is dealing with the same stuff. So that's very helpful.
Really appreciate everybody's help. Thank you.
Appreciate your sharing, and thanks for posting those course cartoons. I don't know what you call them, course diagrams, cartoons.
Yes, from Kat. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Just give a different perspective.
I like them. Yeah, they're quite helpful. They put a bit of a lighter perspective as well.
Yeah. Okay. So any further thoughts on that paragraph?
Just was going to say, those cartoons look really good for kids, don't they? They look good enough for young ones.
Yeah, they are. I like them.
I'm a bit like that when it comes to stuff, because a lot of people always say to me, oh, that's really kiddified. Did you do it intentionally? And I'll say no. especially when I'm drawing or doing something, they'll always say it's like a child, and it's like, well, no, I guess I was just expressing it as it was.
Well, make it simple. That's the key.
Yeah.
If you make it simple for people, then they're much more likely to absorb it. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with this whole program. Trying to make this stuff simpler. The text is notoriously complicated for people. They don't get it. So if we can simplify it by translating into alternative language, doing a personalized executive summary. You notice I've been putting a summary in the group and then putting emojis in there. It's like, okay, take the fear away from it. It's not some big scary, theoretical text that you're never going to understand. It's just some words and rephrased and translated and stated a different way. It's actually quite understandable.
I truly appreciate that, because I know I really do believe that's helping me a lot more to sort out, and it's the way you're doing the wording that's making me understand it better. Like you said, you're simplifying it.
Yeah, that's the point. You simplify it, and it's the understanding that's key. That people understand the message, the key message. The words are just symbols twice removed from reality. So the words just point you to the message. It's actually the understanding of the message, and that's good teaching is to help your students to understand better, more quickly, more easily. That's what the course is about, really. Otherwise, you just study it on your own. But it's not the easiest course to understand first, just on your own, in my experience. Okay. And just on a side, if you know anyone who's wanting to understand the course more deeply, then please invite them to one of these sessions. On Sunday, the plan is to do a sort of masterclass after our live session, so they could join that, and then afterwards I'll talk about the course and the program. But so anyone who's into A Course in Miracles or wants to get into it, or feels like they need some support and guidance, then feel free to invite them to Sunday. Would be ideal. That's only 2 days away, but any of the live sessions, they're welcome to join in and dip into it. And they can start a 3-week free trial wherever, even though we're 2 weeks into the course, they can start wherever they are, which is not a bad place. We're about to go into the real transformational stuff from next Sunday onwards, so now's not a bad time to join. They've missed some of it, but they haven't missed the core of it, of the transformation process yet. Okay, so anyone you want to invite, feel free, just let me know so I know who they are, and I can let them into the Zoom room. Okay, so last paragraph, number 9, part of your growth. So higher awareness. Who wants to read that? Elaine, will you read that? Has Elaine just read? Who just read the last one?
Yeah, I just read the last one.
I just read, so let's ask Aurelie. Maybe Aurelie, if you can read for us the last paragraph. Thanks.
Yeah, a part of your growth into higher awareness will be determined by how perceptively and skillfully you handle these 2 pathways. You can use the 9th pathway to delay your responses to people long enough to give the other pathways an opportunity to rescue you from the negative emotions arising in you. Always remember that you cannot put off for long making an upfront communication of your deepest feelings. If you wish to be conscious, perceptive, and loving, suppressed feelings act like a cancer in your mind that malignantly spreads, distorting your perceptions and bringing you alienation and suffering. You thus learn to use the 7th and 9th pathways to create more and more aliveness and beauty in all your relationships with other people.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
And that's kind of what we just said about delaying your response, but then still sharing your feelings, expressing your feelings, but taking a moment first to process before you get too emotional or
And
project negative.
just knowing when, knowing when you should delay and knowing when you should react, and that's wisdom.
Yeah.
With more awareness, you start to develop that, and there's a part of your mind that comes in, and part of your mind that wants to react, that's the ego, but the other part is strengthened. It says, no, just pause here. Don't say something. Take a time out. Don't send the email. Just leave it in drafts. These are the kinds of delaying responses that can be very helpful. We just, we don't need to get ourselves into the kinds of difficulties that the ego wants us to get into. If we can just delay and pause. How many times, if you think back on your life, if you just paused and you hadn't said something, you hadn't done something, could have been different. The situation could have been different and would have worked out better. I think we've all had those times. So now, why didn't I just bite my tongue, not say anything? Why didn't I just walk away? Why did I send that email? So on. Well, you can change it. But then the caution is you can't put off for long making an upfront communication of your deepest feelings if you wish to be conscious, perceptive, and loving. Okay, so something's arising, you express it. That's part of the communication in a conscious way. So you've done some processing, maybe you've let it go. So there's no emotional charge there, but sometimes things need to be shared. This doesn't mean I'm just a doormat and I let people treat me however. I need to say something if I don't feel something's right. But I'm doing it from a very conscious, aware, loving state of mind. So my thoughts, my words, and my actions are going to be very different because of that.
So, Jono, as you've been speaking today, and I brought up a subject earlier about my dad, because I never speak about my dad. And I've noticed things are coming in and out while you're talking. And then I remember he was an alcoholic and stuff like that. So all this stuff's coming up. Like when you have a session, like we're having a session now, is it best then, obviously in reflection later, if I remember then what came up, or because that is going to be what I'm going to be trying to suppress down. I'm just trying to understand the way I process things in years. It's just like we're having a great conversation, really. A lot of stuff's come up for me, especially about somebody who wasn't part of my life, my dad. I didn't know a lot about him. He died as an alcoholic, and things do come in my mind. And I know I've had although I never took tablets or anything, I did go through a phase that I was drinking all the time because I couldn't cope, with a lot of stuff that was happening. And I believe probably my upbringing was coming up. I didn't want to face it. So I was using alcohol and my work. And every time I had a break, I wouldn't speak to the kids or anybody. It's all right, Paddy, I'm off now. I didn't even communicate. Do you know what? I can just see so much. So is this all good just to get it out your system and write it out your system? Or because it's very easy now because I've got things to do. It's like, right, I'm going to go and do such and such. Is it best just to bring those little bits up and get it out the way rather than think, right, I've got to go shopping. I've got this to do. I've got that to do.
No, if you feel that's right, maybe do a little practice of the lesson. I'm never upset for the reason I think. So
Yeah.
You practice it yourself, and if it comes up again in the course of shopping or whatever, it doesn't take much. You just have to remember the lesson.
No, I know. I think
not
it's
upset for the reason I think. You could do it while you're shopping.
Yeah.
And just say, oh, I'm not upset. So give yourself some time to process those emotions and release them. That's always a good thing. And,
It's just,
only
it
needs to
is,
be a few minutes, you know, a
yeah.
few minutes can do wonders just to give yourself a chance to release it. If you just carry on busy and you get distracted, then maybe you haven't let it go. And
Mm.
an opportunity, if it arises, to really let it go.
I guess really it's making me think about somebody like my dad that I never really had a relationship with, and just is that ruminating then? Is that wishing? Is that a desire that I had, rather than just thinking, Susie, it's okay, we were talking, let it go, let's move on. And then there is probably a part of me thinking I never had that relationship with my dad for whatever reason. And it doesn't matter because I'm here. I'm just saying, you
There
know,
might be
now,
there might be
normally
some sadness. You
yeah,
know, there might be a sense of sadness or loss, or you know, so then you bring it up. You can't. Okay, so I'm not sad about my dad and not having a relationship with my dad for the reason I think.
okay.
See how you apply the lesson,
Yeah,
and then you use the lesson to help you let go of that sadness and come to the underlying awareness that, okay, the reason you thought, which is related to the past and your story, the story of Susie, and Susie didn't have a proper childhood, and you didn't have a proper dad, and that whole story, which seems to be the cause of your upset, isn't actually. I'm never upset for the reason I think.
yeah,
So it's pointing you to beyond the story, to you know, the really the core belief. The reason you're upset is because you think you are a separate self who could be abandoned and not, you know, not have a loving relationship with your dad. You think that that's who you are, and that's why. And actually, that's a denial. Father, you know, your father's just a symbol of God. It's a symbol of pure formless awareness of perfect love. Do you see that? Symbolic in the dream. So you disconnect from your father, but actually the real problem is you disconnected from your true father or source. And then the father relationship is symptomatic of the disconnection from source, you see. So you got to go, you see why you're never upset for the reason you think, because you've got to go way deeper and go, the real reason is because I disconnected from my source. I chose to separate from my true father or source, and that's why I'm upset.
Gosh, that makes a lot of sense, Jono. Thank you so much. I mean, we only spoke about separation the other day, but my dad did leave all that time. It's hitting so much. So thank you to everybody, because there's quite a lot that's come up. It's just you can feel it. You can.
Yeah.
But it is.
That underlying all of it, you're upset because you decided to be a separate self. That's why you're upset, always. It's the decision to separate that makes you upset, and the ongoing decision to continue doing that, that's what's really making you upset, not the external situation. So he's asking us to see that, and, you know, let it go, realize that it's just a decision, and it's my decision. I don't have to keep believing that I'm a separate self if I don't want to.
Gosh, you make so much sense, because I'm sitting here. Well, I never lived with him. I don't really know the bloke. I know he was my dad, and I appreciate it and whatever, and I know he had his issues, but that makes so much sense, because I have had that whole thing about separation this week, and you're right. One part of me has got that yearning that I wanted him to be, but no, it's okay. But I did separate myself. Oh, God.
Because the real yearning is for your source. That's the real yearning. Beyond, you know, and you can't, you know, your dad is long gone. You can't fix that. You'll never recover. You know, that situation's come and gone. So, you know, you can stay in that sense of loss, or you can go, no, but that's not the real loss. The real loss is the loss of my father, my true father, my source. But that's a decision. I'm only feeling that because I'm currently right now making the decision to be separate from that awareness.
So I disconnected myself from that situation, and that's when I separated.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you thought it was because of your father.
Yeah.
So those feelings of separation and sadness arisen. But actually that's just a cover or a mask over the real reason, which is you decided to separate from your own loving awareness.
Gosh.
That's the problem.
Oh,
always. You see that? You get it?
Yeah.
So and And therein lies your awakening. Okay, well, that's a present decision I'm still making in my mind. Every time I feel sad or angry or upset in any way, I'm making that decision and I'm justifying it through the external world, which is just a projection of the thought of separation. That's the problem. So let me just go to the problem and resolve it there. The problem is I still want to be a separate self. That's the problem, always. You get it?
Yeah.
No. And then
Thank you.
and then there's a solution. There's a resolution. Okay, I don't have to do that anymore. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a pleasure. So just go meditate on that for a bit,
Yeah.
because something's just dropped for you. So give yourself some time
Yeah.
to just sit with it, let it process, let the emotions come up, practice the lesson to let it process through, because then there's this is another layer dropping away. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. So that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you, everyone. Just a housekeeping note, we're going to start a bit later this evening at 6 p.m. UK time. That's 7 p.m. your time already. 8 p.m. SA time for those who are listening to recording. Just to give you a little bit more time, we are driving somewhere for a football tournament, so I'm not exactly sure when I'm back, but I should be back by 6. So practice well. In the meantime, do another lesson, practice the lesson again sometime this afternoon using one of the breath breaks that I've sent you. They're on the group or in the email, and we'll practice the lesson briefly again tonight as part of our meditation. All right. So
Thank you. Thanks.
Namaste.
Bye. See you later.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Namaste.
so much,
Namaste.
Donna. Have a good time
Okay.
watching your son.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, have a good
time.
time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Bye.